Hi, I'm David. Today, I just finished watching, uh, sorry, reading. I just finished reading Hospital Shitlist, First Day by John Prester. The logline says, five friends in medical school starting their hospital rotations must learn to navigate their way through expectations, interdepartmental drama, and stressed out residents. All right, so I'm just gonna do the regular thing. I'm gonna pull out the six-factor uh, grade structure that you'll be familiar with on sites like Coverfly X. So overall, plot, dialogue, concept, characters, and theme. Now, starting off, I just want to point out the characters. Now, the writer here has actually done a good job. They've done actually a good job of introducing each character at their most at their not their most powerful, at their most characteristic, their most characterful, right? It really gives us an idea of what each character are like. I especially liked Cam Bunning, right? Or Bunting. Yeah, it has to be Cam Bunning. Cam Bunning. My favorite character out of this pilot. Uh, there could be a bit more characterization. If you can work on that, that would be great. Though, of course, I don't really have any suggestions. So far, I think the characters are fine. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. There's always room to do better. Theme. There's not necessarily an established theme here, though that's usually the kind of thing where the theme is there. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry. The theme, I'm really not entirely sure because there is definitely a sense of community and friends. And, just the fact that you have all these people together in this hospital setting, navigating through their third year. But the thing is, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5, given the fact that this is fairly. I'm sorry, a 3 out of 5, because when it comes to a 3 out of 5, this 3 out of 5 is not supposed to be a critique of you. It's just a critique of the fact that this is a very common theme, especially when it comes to half-hour comedies. It's a very, very common theme. Frasier, Seinfeld, Friends, Scrubs. This is a very common theme. I'm sorry. This is a very common theme. It's almost it's if you can think of something better, if you can think of something different that can drive this along, there's you can do something great. Concept, that's really going to have to be okay. Well, you did it good. The point is, I'm gonna still have to give the concept a 1 out of 5. There's not much that separates this show from others. I'm sorry that you have to hear it this way, but and I know that you're going to see this as your baby. Now, but the concept, at fundamental level, how do I know that this is different from something like House, like Scrubs, like Chicago Med? Of course, it's not that it doesn't have that drama, but how do I know it's not? Should I say? How do I know it's not just another medical show? And the way I'm thinking of this genre is, yeah, there has to be, like, again, I'm thinking Scrubs, but I'm having a hard time trying to think of another medical show that's actually just a half-hour comedy. So for that, you know what, I'm actually going to change this up. It's going to be a 2 out of 5. Again, there's not that much that really separates this from other shows. When you're writing, you have to think, what can you bring to the table that can separate you from what thousands of others have tried doing previously? Dialogue, easy 4 out of 5. No, sorry, 3 out of 5. Easy 3 out of 5. And the reason why is you make it flow good. It's good. The dialogue is good. The problem is that there are some points that do need improving. The most note, you can see that there aren't that many marks on your script. But the most notable is this part. We're med students, you can tell by our short white coats, the attendings, and the residents wear the long white coats. That's something where you need to go through it and rethink it again. So dialogue 3 out of 5. Plot. Sorry, I just had to check, make sure that this camera is still recording. So anyway, dialogue is 3 out of 5. There are some parts where there's interview dialogue and things like that. But overall 3 out of 5 because you do make it flow. That's something good. Plot. Now the thing is, plot, that's a bit problematic. I squared these two things up here because I need to cover them. And that is, I'm going to have to come up with a 3 out of 5 for plot, because when we look through your script, we've noticed all of these different things here, and I'm going to try and find a page where I just wrote the word plot, because, oh, this is an example. This is an example because there were a couple of times, like this small slug line, where, you know, it just points out how she knows Michael Parker as Dr. Parker, right? And the thing is, when we're talking about half-hour comedies, or a film, or 1-hour dramas, anything like that, we have to point out that no matter the format, everything needs to be contained and everything needs to be plot relevant. I read this screenplay once where it was bad. Honestly, it was bad. And you had this one character where they're talking about, okay, I see that your dad is abusing you, so I'm gonna do you a favor. You come to me, and I'll find some people to get at him. And the character says, no, I don't want that. And then by the end of the film, by the end of this 1-hour thing, this grueling script, right? There's a finale where she's returning the main character to the father because the main character's beat up, and all we have is just a shot of that character that offered just looking at the father in disgust but hiding it at the same time. I remember that. That does not work. That does not work because of the fact that, how do I say this? That does not work because it's not contributing much. And the reason why that's relating to here is because you have some elements in this script, not major elements, but there's some elements in this script that are trying to not point out, but that aren't relevant to this pilot. And this is a syndrome I noticed with a lot of TV writers, where they're thinking, okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this because I don't have to explain it until the second episode. But the thing is, fun fact, when you are writing a TV script, you're only writing the first episode. You could have things like Lost, right? Where the pilot is really just 2 episodes. But, big but, that's not going to happen. So you are not going to be able to bide yourself time. You need to make sure that everything is plot relevant within the pilot. That's not going to just be referred to in episode 2, not referred to in episode 3. It has to be now. It has to be in this script. As for act structure, let's look at this, because I'm just going to note stuff by now. Clearly, you do seem to understand that, you know, pilots have to be structured, right? TV is structured. So cold open, that's our setup. Act 1, that's exactly it. That's the setup. So I'm just going to go back and refer to the cold open as the intro. And Act 2, because I know that there are some people that never heard of this in their English courses, right? And that is Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. And it's very simple. Because they're not learning the acts, they're learning the parallel, which is the mountain, right? So I'm just going to go back to Act 2. Where is Act 2? Act 2, this is the rising action. And also up here, throughout this entire act, what you really need, throughout this Act 1, what you need is an inciting incident. That's what I really mean by setup. What you need in your Act 1 is an inciting incident. Or incidents, because I can see that this is an ensemble script. And then Act 3. Act 3, that is the part where it's the climax. And when we're working with ensemble scripts, right, where there's an ensemble cast, that's when you have to have a climax for each storyline, for each inciting incident. But, wait. And then you have Act 4, which is, lowering action. And then Act 5 will be the very end. Now, usually you're not going to get to Act 5. You want it to end, okay? And what comes to these structures, I don't necessarily see that structure being respected. I don't necessarily see climax. I see a setup, right? Setup's good. Act 1, we see some incidents, right? Because the point I'm trying to figure out is, while I could be asking the wrong questions when it comes to a half-hour special, I myself don't have experience with half-hour comedies. What I want to ask is, why are we looking at these people at this point in time? Sure, they're new third years, right? But why? What exactly about them being new third years makes us want to focus on them at this point in them being new third years, right? What's the inciting incident? What's the conflict? You have to introduce the conflict, because all I'm seeing is a bunch of people navigating, right? And more people, and one of the characters is just angry about everything. Now, I'm giving you a grace point, of 1, because if I were to go as hard as I can, simply because, of the chance that I don't understand what's going on, that's going to be a 2 out of 3, right? So, grace point, I'm going to give a 3 out of 5. Did I say 2 out of 3 before? 2 out of 5. So, 3 out of 5 here. And overall, I find that this script has much more quality than what I covered last time. I can see that this is not the first time that you've written this. I can see that this was a rewrite of some kind, right? But there's a big problem here, and I was able to tell because of these formatting errors, where we have an act starting way down the page. And what this is telling me is that you finished a rewrite, and then you went back through the same rewrite. This could be the vomit draft for all I know. You could have finished your vomit draft, and then you did not start a new document. You just went through the same document, replaced parts that you didn't like, add some better parts, And now you are like, and now it's this, right? Where you do have formatting errors, but that's not the point. The point is that it affects the script and your story as well, which is why you could see, which you'll see me write when you scroll past this part of the video, rewrite from scratch. I'm also gonna put my head like right here, so then you can make sure to know that this is very important. The reason why you have to rewrite from scratch, I'm giving the same explanation as you're going to see, is that let's say you're building a house. Well, what do you want to do? You don't know how to build a house, so you're gonna start from scratch. You're gonna learn, and what you do is you get a bunch of mud, make a foundation, make a house on top of it, made of mud, and now you have a mud house. It's something, but it's not great. It's bad. So you decide, okay, I'm going to rip out some of this dry mud, right? The rest of it is drying, but this part I can rip out and replace it with wood, right? Replace some of that mud with wood. It's a bit better now, but not the best. So you decide, okay, well now I'm going to take another third of this house and replace it with brick. So now you have a house that's made of mud, 1/3 mud, 1/3 wood, and 1/3 brick. When the goal is that you want a house that's good. You want a house that's 100% brick, not 33%. Because right now the majority of it is mediocre or bad. But what's more important than that is that you completely forgot the foundation, and this entire house has an amalgamation of both wood, mud, and brick, is just on a mud foundation. So what I really need to point out here is not only rewrite from scratch. Don't even what I mean by this is not just from scratch. I mean like from scratch. Start with a different outline. Start with a new outline. Okay, and that's at least my writing process, right? And also, don't try and resist every natural urge in your being, right? Down that coffee if you have to. Take as many lattes from Starbucks home as you can if you need so. Whatever you do, do not copy paste, because what that's doing is that you're in the middle of building your wood house or your brick house. But if you're copy pasting, what that means is that you just decide this part is too hard, so I'm gonna take the mud from my previous house and put it in that part. Don't do that. So overall, I will need to give it a 3 out of 5. Let's start reading. Hi, I'm David. Today we're going to be taking a look at Hospital Shitlist by John Prester. This pilot episode is titled First Day, and the logline says, 5 friends in medical school starting their hospital rotations must learn to navigate their way through expectations, interdepartmental drama, and stressed out residents. All of this seems very on point. I can tell that this is not a first draft. Now I want to talk about the genres first. The genres listed say comedy, satire, and medical. Now comedy, that's something that I'm guessing the script is. But I have a problem with the two other genres, satire and medical. Well, number one, satire. You may have thought that sounded right, but the problem is, what is satire? Satire is not comedy, and comedy is satire is comedy, but comedy is not satire. Satire is a kind of comedy. And if I were to give an example of what satire is, one would be Dr. Strangelove, one would be The Great Dictator, another one would be, what else? Animal Farm by George Orwell. And if you have noticed, while these all are comedies, the more specific thing about satire is the fact that it's not about comedy, it's about making fun of something. So with Dr. Strangelove, we see the relationship between the United States and Russia during the Cold War with a great dictator. That's a satire of World War II. And with Animal Farm, that's a satire of the United Soviet right USSR. That is a critique of the USSR, and it's not just a thematic critique like we'll say in A Good Man Is Hard to Find, a critique of older generations. This is a more outlandish critique where, for example, in Animal Farm, the politicians are the pigs, the public are the workhorse, the goats are the Keshlovik intelligentsia, I think, and the sheep are exactly that. They're the sheep. So just know that about satire. If this is not making fun of anything specific, and if this concept is not entirely a satire on something going on in the real world, then it's not satire. And as well, medical, that's not really a genre, that's more of a category. And what I mean by this is medical, you can have a medical horror film, you can have a medical comedy, which is what this is, you can have a medical musical. There are so many different things that you can apply medical to, but a medical is not necessarily a genre. And if you want to market yourself, the main thing that they have to know is that you are, at least in the beginning, don't do this for your whole career, but I mean, in the beginning, as you're getting known, keep yourself in a box because that's going to help you. So, in the end, you might want to just title your genre comedy and maybe medical if you plan on doing more stuff about medical. One or the other, both if you plan on consistently doing one of those things. Now let's start reading. Am I recording? Yes, I am recording. All right. Cold open. Interior bathroom evening. Pair of hairy legs in front of the porcelain throne. Pajama pants at the ankles. A YouTube video plays something silly and benign. Sitting between the sink and the bathtub is Michael Parker, watching something on his phone. He giggles uncontrollably, having long forgotten that the primary business of taking a dump. He reaches for a can of Diet Coke on the sink. Suddenly, beep 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 beep. Michael, Jesus. Coke spilled on the floor. Michael barely catches his phone from dropping into the bathtub. He rummages in his pants and pulls out a black pager straight from the 80s. But in his hurry, Michael fumbles and the pager bounces across the bathroom floor several times off the wall, and it chirps for the final time. Christ. He leans from his seat, reaching. Come on. He looks at the number on the pager and sighs. He dials on his phone. If it's Cam Bunting, I swear I'm going to cut off his thumbs myself. Leanna. Hello, this is Leanna at University Hospital ER. Michael. Dr. Parker with psychiatry, returning a page. Alright, so first page. Immediately, I can tell this is not a first draft. Excellent, right? But there are still some problems here, though. For example, this is in a bathroom, but he has a pager on, yet he also has Diet Coke. He's just sitting in the washroom with a Diet Coke. So we could imagine that he is in the hospital, or is he at home? We don't have a real understanding. I'm not a doctor. I've looked through the Reddit account of the writer, and apparently, yes, they are a resident. Though I should really mention that the general audience are not going to be doctors. So what we want to do is maybe in this line you can insert the fact that he is in a hospital or he is in his own washroom. Next, I'm not entirely sure where I saw it. I think I may have seen a typographical error. No, not really. Now, and also another thing I noticed is formatting errors. If we look at what is usually capitalized in a screenplay, it would be nouns, not verbs. If you have something kind of important, uh, that is a thing, right? What you will need to do is you will need to capitalize that thing. You do not need to capitalize these verbs. It's a waste of effort, in my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong. Uh, Now, I'm not the kind of person that's going to count a mistake against you again and again and again. No, this is just one time I'm going to point it out. But note that this does not mean that it happens only one time in your script. If it happens again, at least you know that it is there. I do not have to. I do not have to annoy you again and again and again. If it's Cam Bunning, I swear I'm going to cut off his thumbs myself. Now, note what this establishes. What this establishes is that Cam Bunning does not have his thumbs. What this implies is that when you're saying myself, this implies, oh, he's tried cutting off his thumbs or something like that, or he's talked about it, right? So just note that this is what that establishes. Leanna, off camera from phone. Hello, this is Leanna at University Hospital ER. Another formatting error. Off camera. Off camera means that they're off screen. Off camera and off screen are not synonymous. But what off camera means is that they are in the same room, but they are not seen by the camera. Right? Off screen means that they're in a different room, but they're calling back, right? And voiceover means that they are nowhere in this scene. They are usually somewhere else entirely. Maybe it's just a thought or something. The point is, you need to use voiceover. Michael, Dr. Parker with psychiatry, returning a page. Anna, off camera. Hi, Dr. Parker. We have a patient in ER with suicidal ideation. His name is Interior Emergency Room / Bathroom Continuous, Cameron Bunting. Cam Bunting, a homeless meth head who doesn't have 2 brain cells left over to rub together to light a match. He's boxing an imaginary enemy. He smoked with meth a few hours ago. FBI is after him, personally instructed by John F. Kennedy, who isn't actually dead. Michael, just give him a sandwich and call me back in an hour. Lana, I can't. We're moving him to Pez bed 4 now. Pronounced Pez. Michael, what? Lana, Dr. Tan's orders. We also have 2 med students down here. They say they're looking for the psych resident on nights. That's you, right? 2 medical students, one male, one female, and scrubs and short white coat. Look around their surroundings in half awe and half fear. They flinch as Mr. Bunting jabs towards them. Alright. Now, something I need to mention about continuous. Now, I made a mistake in my last video where I said that it could have been a director's term. It's not. Instead, what continuous means is that you are carrying on. It's all the same time. From this leg line to this leg line, it's the same time, but we're just following the character as they are doing an action. Now, something I should mention is the fact that when you have continuous, that already implies it's the same time, so you don't need this bathroom bit. But at the same time, what I find is a bit problematic is the fact that Leanna says Cameron Bunting. So what this implies is the fact that if this is one of those shots, like in, let's say, the Grand Budapest Hotel, where the old man says, it begins, as you may know, of course, with, and then it just cuts to an image saying Monsieur Gustave, right? That's kind of what you're trying to go for. But the problem with this continuous term in this line is that this does not work with that. So what you need to do is just cross that out. You already have these dashes here. You already have Leanna saying something right here, it's going to work. Another thing, if we want, I understand that this is a professional setting, but at the same time, what you're doing is a comedy. Now, I'm not saying that you need to necessarily stick with, should I say, I'm not saying that you need to stick with comedy. You don't have to stick with movie logic, right? I'm just saying that movie logic in some areas is okay as long as it makes sense, right? Don't try and twist things under the excuse of movie logic because that's not going to work. But the thing is, when he's referring to Cameron Bunting as Cam Bunting, it makes a better comedic effect if you were to remove just this little bit, Lana, Cam Bunting. This makes it appear, as I'm guessing it should, to the fact that this patient is someone that they've known previously. Cam Bunt. So just say, "Hi, Dr. Parker. We have a patient in ER with suicidal ideation. His name is Cam Bunting. Cam Bunting, a homeless meth head who doesn't have two brain cells left over to rub together to light a match. He's boxing an imaginary enemy." All right, so I like what you did here. He's boxing an imaginary enemy, right? This is introducing him where he is at his most characteristic. He is the crazy homeless guy, but the problem with this is how do I say it? He doesn't have two brain cells left over to rub together to light a match. Now that's 3 twos. I understand that the second two was part of together, but that's still 3 twos, and we have repeating sets of letters. That's incredibly hard to, not incredibly hard, but that makes it a bit more difficult to read and a bit more difficult to actually even read out. I myself had some difficulty reading through that. To rub together to light a match. He's boxing an imaginary enemy, and as well, I like what you did. I like what you did with he's boxing an imaginary enemy, but the problem with that is the fact that that has its own implications. Where is he boxing this imaginary enemy? Is he in one room that's been closed off to the hallway, and we see him through the window, and he's boxing an imaginary enemy? Or is he just in the hallway where there's people around and he's boxing an imaginary enemy? There's one scenario that makes sense, another scenario that doesn't make sense. You have to clarify which one. Leanna continued, "He smoked meth a few hours ago. FBI is after him, personally instructed by John F. Kennedy, who isn't actually dead." You used a period here, which implies that that's all she really says. Now, that can work. He smoked meth a few hours ago. FBI is after him, personally instructed by John F. Kennedy, who isn't actually dead. Personally instructed, when she doesn't mention exactly what he's been instructed to do, that does also imply that she's listing off a bunch of things. So what you could do is just simply comma, dash, and then Michael. "Just give him a sandwich and call me back in an hour." Leanna, "I can't. We're moving him to Pez bed for now." Pronounced Pez. You can remove this. The actors, throughout the development process, the actors are going to know how to say it, whether or not they already know or whether or not they learn that's pronounced Pez. Michael, "What?" Lana, "Dr. Tan's orders. We also have 2 med students down there. They say they're looking for the psych resident on nights." That's you, right? 2 medical students, 1 male. Wait, let me just keep on reading. How many more weeks? 3 more. Tell him to wait in the resident workroom on the 2nd floor. The next time, give him a sandwich first. Now quickly, I'm just going to do a little Chekhov list here. Chekhov list. Note that you have introduced Cam Bunting, which means that we need to see him again. Alright? Next. He hangs up, takes in his situation, and sighs. Interior emergency room, continuous. Again, there is continuous. Now, when he's sighing, And when we're looking at Anna, again, you don't need continuous every single time that you have two slug lines that take place at the same time. Because we already have a convention for that, and it's when they're not taking place at the same time, and that's cut two. Yeah, if you have two slug lines over one another, that means that they are taking place at the same time. If you have two slug lines put together and you use the word continuous, that means that we are following a character performing an action. Now, hey you who. They are Pascal Mannion, black, tall, and stoic, and Chrissy Nunez, white, small, and anxious. Leanna, Dr. Parker said you can wait in the resident workroom on the second floor. Chrissy, where is that? Leanna, I believe it's in the hallway next to the outpatient pharmacy. Chrissy, right, thank you. Leanna returns to work on her computer, but she can't ignore them still standing there. Leanna, you don't know where the outpatient pharmacy is. Chrissy, nope. Today is our first day on clinical restorations. We're med students. You can tell by our short white coats. The attendings and the residents wear long white coats. She indicates the length of her white coat. I know. I wasn't born yesterday. Pascal, I'm just a med student. Okay, so this is generally good except for this one bit. This one bit is very bad. It's all good. One bit, all very bad. So when we look at what Chrissy said, nope, today's our first day on clinical rotations. We're med students. You can tell by our short white coats. Now, why? Leanna already knows this, right? And clearly Leanna has experience in this hospital. So Christy should not be saying this, right? Instead she should just be, nope, today is our first day on clinical rotations, and then you can end it there. And you already have her say that she's a med student down here, so you can really even end it off back here. Just end off this entire thing, and you're gonna be fine, because what you're doing right now is that you are not showing, you're just telling. When really, when it comes to screenplays, you have this whole thing in front of you. You have a screen. The audience can see something. They don't just hear it. So, more or less, this just is show, don't tell. End of cold open. Act 1. Interior resident workroom night. Residents are speaking into phones, typing into computers, talking amongst each other. Anxious energy swirls above everyone's head like an electrical charge building up, waiting to strike at an opportune time. Beep, 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 beep. The entire room freezes. The Cooper Cameron, early 30s, exhausted, sighs. Cooper, fuck me. The tension eases. The night float gods have found their sacrifice. For now. Cooper punches numbers into a landline phone. While the phone is dialing, he deletes the page he just received. On the other side of the room, Pascal and Chrissy lounge on a cheap plastic couch. Pascal, what did I tell you? Chrissy, huh? Pascal, they pay for... Cooper, no, you can't fuck me over like this. Don't move a fucking muscle, Thomas. I'm coming down. Don't put any orders under my name until I fucking evaluate the patient. Fuck. Cooper slams the handset into the receiver. The machine cracks in half. Interior emergency room, bed 14 continuous. Tom's Kurt, PGY 2 on surgery. Away winces from his cell phone. Now, I just read over this. I just want to see something. Congratulations on not doing the thing that everyone does, and that is putting an apostrophe between the 30 and the S. That's actually a typo, believe it or not. So what you did here was correct. Cooper, you've introduced Cooper at a very characteristic point. Good on that. The tension eases. The night float gods have found their sacrifice for now. Now, what exactly does this mean? Again, the executive that you're going to be pitching this to, as well as the audience in general, aren't really going to know what night float really means in the work culture. They aren't in your work culture, right? So you might have to go with a bit of explaining. Do not explain like what Christy did back here. Just show it. Show that they are night floats, or what is a night float specifically. Cooper punches numbers into a landline phone. Very characteristic. On the other side of the room, Pascal and Christy lounge on a cheap plastic couch. Okay, so Pascal and Christy lounge on a cheap plastic couch. Meanwhile, anxious energy is swirling above everyone's head like an electrical charge building up, waiting to strike an opportune time. That's a bit contradictory. You might want to improve that. Maybe you can specify that, let's say, Pascal and Christy aren't really a part of this anxious energy because they're new, or something else. But reading this one time, it appears to be a contradiction. Pascal, what did I tell you? Chrissy, huh? Pascal, that he'd for, and then Cooper starts yelling at Thomas over the phone. He slams the handset into the receiver. You might want to specify that on phone. Or, yeah, on phone. The machine cracks in half. Comedic effect. Alright, this would probably be an error if this was not a comedy. So just note, if this is a comedic if this is a comedic effect, it works. Here, emergency room, bed 14. Thomas Kurt, PGY2 on surgery. This is not exactly a fillable. And what I mean by this is, I need you to find a way to show PGY2. Oh, never mind. Oh, wait, when's this from his cell phone? Female patient, Dr. Kurt. Thomas Kurt. What do you think about changing your room, Mrs. Hernandez? Yes, your leg's broken and we're going to fix it. So, I'm sorry, let's just ask female patient, Dr. Kurt, what do you think about changing your room, Mrs. Hernandez? Your leg is broken. Wait. Okay. I thought there was an error here, but there isn't. Interior, resident workroom. Cooper furiously grabs at bits of paper and pens around him and shoves them into his pockets. Cooper, that fucking prick. Worried resident. What the hell, Cooper? Cooper running out. Suck my dick, Chandra. Chandra, prick. Chandra Venkat gets up from his work and approaches a freestanding whiteboard. It has many sections, but the selection we are currently most concerned with reads, Days since the last broken phone. Oh my god. He erases the previous number 22, writes a big 0. He flips the board over. There are columns of medical specialties, IM, Gen Surge, Euro, Cars, Trauma, etc. Many ticks under columns for the surgical specialties. Not too many under IM. Chandler sends a tick under IM. Chandra. Cooper's gone half the numbers for internal medicine service. Background resident. I heard he almost went into surgery. Chandra. I should have stayed there. That miserable shit stain. Back to our medical students. Pascal. Whispering. Last week, what did I say? So they are continuing this conversation, but Pascal never got to mention 4. So I just need to remind you of that he had 4 something. So I just need to remind you that she did not finish that sentence. If this is assuming that we know what she was talking about, then that means that you need to finish what that 4 was. As many sections, but the section we're currently I'm just reading through to see if there are any things. But yeah, just be clear that the audience so far does not know necessarily what Pascal is talking about. Exterior Oliver's apartment balcony night flashback. Caption: 1 week earlier. Overhead shot of the 5 friends sitting around a small s'more stove. Pascal, Christy, Oliver, Nikhil, and Evan. More about the others later. Drinks aplenty, primarily in the form of soju, a languid, dreamlike atmosphere. Pascal, he's forgotten about us. Christy, it's been only a few days since I sent the email to Dr. Parker. Oliver, off camera. No, I agree with Pascal here. Sounds like your resident forgot about you. Christy, should I have emailed Dr. Barrett? Oliver, the attending, are you crazy? Christy, why not? This is an academic hospital with residents and med students and nursing students and pre-meds all over the place. Oliver, like rats. Pascal, residents are on their own during nights. I bet they don't even call their attending as they just wait. Christy, they drink. What are you starting? Oliver? Was it IM? Oliver Park, late 20s, handsome and confident, flexes his muscles. Oliver, nah, emergency medicine. 4 days and nights, I'm pumped. Christy, you not scared? Oliver, I've scribed an ER. Okay, so on this page, number one thing I need to mention, overhead shots of the 5 friends around a small s'more stove. I believe that this is a part where you were writing in your script and then you get tired and then you start thinking, okay, I'm gonna have a bit of caffeine. You have that caffeine and then boom, idea, boom, idea, boom, idea. You need everyone to see the script the way that you want it. That's what, in my experience, that's what happens. So, overhead shot of the 5 friends sit around a small s'more stove. That's direction. Oh, caption as well. You don't necessarily do caption. That's more referred to. That's more when someone is speaking. That you're describing what they're saying. I think I'm not entirely sure, but the more appropriate when it comes to text on that's superimposed on a screen, the best line that you should use is super, and then 1 week earlier in parentheses. Not parentheses, apostrophes. Not apostrophes. The double apostrophe. I forgot that name. What was it? It was the quotation marks. Quotation marks. As for soju, is this plot relevant? Why is this soju? A languid, dreamlike atmosphere. You don't need to insert this here. Pascal, he's forgotten about that, blah, blah, blah. Oliver, no, I agree with Pascal here. Sounds like your resident forgot about you. The attending, are you crazy? Like rats. Oliver Park, late 20s, handsome and confident, flexes his muscles. Now, I was about to mark you off on this handsome bit because usually that would be describing the character in areas where they don't need to be described, and that's over-directing. But then you mentioned flexes his muscles. So just to note, if the fact that he's handsome is not plot relevant, you can leave it out. Pascal, for 2 and 4 months, Oliver, what I really want to do is do a code. I got the ACLS algorithm printed back. I bet I can run it myself. Give me an MI, man. I'll pump his heart back to ROSC. I'm not even afraid of the pimping. Interior emergency room present. Cooper, half runs down the hall, furiously muttering to himself, "That coxswain bitch, where is he now? Did he shoot himself into Thanos' asshole?" A mother nearby gasps and covers her toddler's ear. Love that. Cooper, sorry, where was it? In bed 14, pod B? Pod C. He arrives at bed 14. Interior emergency room, bed 14, continuous. Door flies open. Now, this is actually an appropriate time where you should use continuous. That's a good point where we're using continuous. Door flies open. Cooper, Maria Hernandez, freeze frame, middle age, Caucasian male patient, shirtless, being auscultated by Oliver. Not Maria Hernandez. Blink and he's gone. Gasping, the patient clutches at his chest. Oliver, are you okay, Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers, my heart. Oh. Gasping, please, doctor. Oh, I forgot to mention this, but I noticed that you had parentheses. When you have parentheses, it's important to note that the parentheses do not happen in the middle of your dialogue. They happen in between your dialogue, if that makes any sense. So what you're doing is da 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 parentheses. What you're doing is da 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 parentheses something parentheses da da da. That's not correct. What you have to do is da 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 under here parentheses and then da da da. That's exactly what you have to do. Up here, what I really want to do is doing code. I got the ACL's like back algorithm front and back. I got now again, the audience. Think of the audience. Not everyone's going to understand what this means. I personally don't know what this means, and as an audience member, this makes me a bit worried over not about the plot, but over the fact of, oh no, I don't know what this means. Am I going to know what the rest of this show is going to be like? Am I even going to like it? Right? So I can tell that you have experience with this. Not everyone does. You need to simplify, especially when this is the kind of thing where even though everyone's probably going to be on their phone or something, right, as this is on in the background, or if I don't know, something, no one is going to go through each piece of dialogue and search it up, right? Because again, the audience, just think of it this way, the audience is always lazy. So really, you need to simplify that. Present, that's good. And clearly he is looking for Maria Hernandez. Either way. I'm not a doctor. Panic rises. Sir. Where did Oliver come into this? Let's look. Emergency room present. Cooper. Oliver. Are you okay? Okay, there. Are you okay, Mr. Rogers? My heart, gasping. Please, doctor. I'm not a doctor. Sir. He looks around, but he is so alone. Oh my god, somebody get a doctor. Interior emergency room moments later. Overhead announcement. Code blue, ER, bed 14. Cooper to himself, son of a bitch, not pod B, pod C. Cooper continues his march, completely oblivious to the herd of hospital staff rushing to bed 14 behind him. Interior emergency room, bed 14, same time. Hospital staff surround Mr. Rogers as they put in IVs, get EKG stickers, etc. ER resident, we have to do the LR? Not yet. To the patient. This is one example of how we're using parentheses correctly. You have to keep on using them correctly. Mr. Rogers, Benjamin Ernest Rogers. Chris, good, how old are you? Mr. Rogers, 58. Chris, where are you? City and state? Mr. Rogers, I'm in University Hospital, Trema, Texas. Month and year, July 2018. Now, I should mention that this is one example. Now, I understand that this may or may not be trying to replicate reality of what it's like to be a resident. The problem is the fact that when you're having him ask all of these questions, it's really taking away from the drama of the situation. It's really pulling the audience out of it. While this is happening, Oliver cowers into the corner of the room, trembling like a frightened rabbit. Chris, to the patient, you're gonna be okay. Take deep breaths. Oliver, you're gonna be okay. Okay. Chris, okay, the EKG. Try not to move. Ben, how does it look? Noses Oliver. Hey, you med student. You called the code. Take a look at this and tell me what you... Yeah, I just want to make sure it's something. Okay, while this is happening, Oliver cowers into the corner of the room. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Okay, EKG. Try not to move, Ben. How's it look? Noses Oliver. Hey, you, med student. You called the code. Take a look at this and tell me what you see. All eyes are on Oliver. His heart beats faster and faster. He can hear his own pulse in his ears. Unfilmable, though that could be a form of direction for a term of appropriate direction. Not necessarily appropriate. Let me just read through it again. He can hear his own pulse in his ears. The room seems to be closing on him. He cannot escape. Let me read through the full page and then I'll get back to this. Oliver. He slowly collapses to the floor like a deflating flan. Chris. Jesus Christ. Exterior Oliver's apartment balcony. Night flashback. Pascal. Wait. So it's all three of us on starting nights? Nikhil. No, me too. Nikhil furious, easygoing and content in the background, pours a shot. Nikhil continues on surgery, trauma surgery. The friends stare, horrified, except for Oliver. Dude, sweet. Alright, so back to this part. He can hear his own pulse in his ears. How is the audience going to know that? Now, you could say, okay, well, they're going to know this because the sound is going to be bum bum, bum bum, bum bum, right? But that is more something that you have to leave to the audio guy. And the reason why I'm saying leave it to the audio guy, do not direct this, is because the audio guy or whoever is going to be in charge of what sounds are being heard during the scene are going to know. Given the scene, given the context, given what's happening here, they're going to know, okay, this guy is stressed out. What do I do? Okay, maybe I can just raise the volume on him breathing, get the audience's attention to that. Or I can bring up my idea, even though you already intended for it, either way. Or I can bring in my idea and just have it be boom, 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 and then have it fade out, right? But also, notice how, I want you to think of this, how would this boom, boom, if you can see the scene in your head, right? I want to ask you, how do you imagine this boom, 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 boom starting? And how do you imagine this boom, 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 boom ending? Because if you could, because not necessarily if you could, because I myself am having a bit of a difficult time. Like if you can have it fade in, fade out, okay, but that's kind of cheap. If it stops abruptly, then that can give the establishment to the audience not that either his heart stopped or that suddenly he's confident all of a sudden, right? So this is really something that you have to leave to the people that know what they're doing. He slowly collapses to the floor like a deflating flan. Jesus Christ. Exterior Oliver's apartment balcony. Night flashback. Wait, so all three of us on starry nights? No, me too. Nikhil furious, easygoing, content in the background, pours a shot. I saw her in surgery, trauma surgery. Her friends stare horrified except for dude, sweet. Chrissy punches Oliver in the shoulder. Pascal, you'll get it out of the way early. Chrissy, keep your head down and maybe they won't notice you. Interior Trauma Bay night present. The Trauma Bay, the nuttier, the crazier brother of the ER. Love that. Around the periphery of the bay are a dozen of individual beds for those who are less acute or have been dealt with. Most are currently unoccupied. Is this plot relevant? The center of the bay is the belly, a large open space with 5 beds in a row, able to be moved around to accommodate any situation. For now, they are empty, but ready. The pit is a glassed-in structure across from the belly. You can see it every corner of the bay from here. This is the command center, or the center of hell, depending on your god. Interior of the pit, continuous. Residents and medical students lounge in various positions. Clara Guddle, trauma fellow, stacks up a handful of pagers into a pyramid at her desk. Nikhil browses Reddit on his laptop. He giggles at a meme. Claire, if you have time to look at memes, why don't you practice on interviewing bed 3 over there? Interior emergency room, bed 14, same time, the correct bed 14. Door opens more cautiously. Cooper, Mrs. Hernandez. Room is empty. Bed is unmade. Someone was here. Cooper. Oh no. No. So back to this. Most are currently unoccupied. Is this plot relevant? I understand that this is a comedy, but this is not necessarily a comedic element. So it has to be plot relevant. Or if you have a theme, right? I don't see any overt theme here. So not likely, but if you have a theme, it can go for that. But the best thing for this log line is it plot relevant? And if it's not, it's very simple. That one thing, most are currently unoccupied, you can leave that out. And people will be able to tell by the rest of this thing that, yeah, it's not that busy today. Uh, Let me just find something. Does it have to be Reddit? Does it have to be a meme? And does she have to say this? Again, these are all just very small questions. Just think about them, and using the answer from those, just write these questions down on a piece of paper or something, and answer them in your own words. Try and find out what exactly works out. Correct bed 14, door opens more cautiously. Cooper, Mrs. Hernandez, the room is empty. Bed is unmade. Someone was here. Oh no. No, 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 no. Interior emergency room continuous. Cooper stumbles out of bed 14. His world is falling apart. He looks at his pager to find the paging number. Reads, no pages. Flashback to Cooper deleting the page. Cooper, fuck. That mongoloid. How the hell? Beep, 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 beep. Cooper, as paper. Jesus fucking Christ. As he punches numbers into his cell phone, he finds an open computer that he uses his badge to log in. Cooper continued into the phone. This is Dr. Cameron, internal medicine night float. Hold on, slow down. Which room? How many times he's pooped in his pants? End of Act 1. Now, note when we're talking about this and it's the end of Act 1, this means usually that this is going to be what's leading us into Act 2. If it's not, then you have to change that. Now, as well, who was checking Cooper? And Oliver's the one that fainted. Cooper stumbles out of bed 14. Okay, he stumbles out. You might want to specify here, because you already mentioned that he walks into the area of bed 14. Again, I'm not really experienced with medicine, but you could mention that he goes into bed 14, right? Stumbles out of bed 14. That makes it sound like he was in the bed itself, and not just he was in the bed, if you know what I'm talking about, right? Even I'm having a bit of trouble trying to come up with how to describe this accurately. But if you can get through this, if you can mention that if you can find a way to state that he is not in the bed, he's just in the bed, right? If you can find a way to point that out to the audience, that would be great. His world is falling apart. He looks at his paper to find his pager to find. Okay, wait. Like that mongoloid, how the hell be we? It's okay. Act 2. Okay, now first off, okay, also another thing, another formatting error. I'm not entirely sure what you're using to format your screenplay, but I should mention that it looks like, what it looks like here is that originally you just did a line break a couple of times to make sure that Act 2 would end up at the top of the next page. But then over time, you go back and you add more stuff, right? You add more stuff, and what that does is that takes Act 2 and then pushes it down because you used line breaks and not a page break. So note that, but that also points out a much bigger problem here. A dangerous problem here. And it points out exactly how you're rewriting this. Which is why I need to mention this. Rewrite from scratch. I'm just gonna... Hi, I'm back down here again. Either way, point, you really need to listen to this one. I'm going to explain why. I hope I got your attention. Okay, Now, the reason why you need to rewrite from scratch each and every time, I'm not just talking about, okay, I finished this draft, I'm going to go into a new one. I'm saying from the top, right? Every time you finish a draft, at least in my process, go back and rewrite each paragraph in the outline to make sure that you are also fundamentally improving. Because what this shows me, what this one small formatting error is showing me, is that what you're doing in rewriting is you're going through the same file, and then you're just looking through it and correcting some stuff and adding more stuff here and there, maybe even deleting some stuff here and there. And the thing is, imagine if you were building a house, right? Okay, so you build your first house, and it's made of mud, right? You didn't want it to be this bad, but now it's made of mud. And its foundation is made of mud, everything is made of mud. So you decide to go again, right? You try and build a house. You push some of this mud house out of the way and build a wooden house. Okay, that's not as great. But now you decide, okay, I'm just gonna replace some of this mud, some of this wood with bricks. And now you have a house. The problem is the fact that this house is made of parts mud, it's made of parts wood, and it's made of parts brick. But what's very bad here is the fact that most of it is made of wood and mud. And the most basic part of it, the foundation of this house, is completely mud. You did not replace that. So what that's pointing out to me is that while yes, this is, according to you, not a first draft, this is just the first draft extended. This is not really a second draft. This is not really a third draft. No matter how many times you've gone through this file and deleted some things, added some more, this is just an extension of the vomit draft, and you really don't want that. Of course, that entire spiel may have been incorrect. It could just be that you just didn't use enough break lines, something like that. Anyway, Act 2, Interior Emergency Room Night. Leanna pours a can of Coke into a cup of ice. Leanna, here you go, hun. Oliver is sitting dejectedly on a small stool. Thank you. Leanna, first day? Oliver, yeah. Leanna, I already had a few of y'all on my shift. Oliver, people having panic attacks, med students in your itsy bitsy white coats. Oliver, many of them have panic attacks? Leanna, nah. I'm Leanna, by the way. I've been a nurse down here for 5 years. It'll get better. Jai, hey Oliver, there you are. Jai Tan, early 30s, extremely competent, jaunters towards them. I heard you called Code Blue in 14. Good job. Oliver, thanks Dr. Tan. Jai, and crumpled immediately at your first pimp question, completely deflated apparently. Leanna, pimp? Now, I'm just going to add 2 more things to the checkoff list. Now, I'm just going to have to go through the checkoff list one time, right? We have the number 1 thing is Cam Bunting, right? What happened to him from the cold open? Number 2, what about at the end of Act 1 where somebody pooped his pants, right? And number 2, you do have a reoccurring thing with Coke, right? That's the drink. Could be the drug at some point, but either way, it has to be respective. And if you are going to refer back to this, it has to be plot relevant. That's something I notice a lot of writers have problems with. Now, as well, in your itsy bitsy white coats, okay, that's great. So, what this means is this further reinforces my point during the cold open that you should completely remove this part, because it's already going to be established that they have small white coats right over here. Also, she explains who she is, but she also explains that she has been a nurse down here for 5 years. Now, something I understand that she's saying, I've been a nurse down here for 5 years, it'll get better. Now, I understand that 5 years, that's supposed to contribute to her statement of it will get better. The problem, though, is the fact that you, it's not necessary to know that she's been here for 5 years. What's especially, well, it could be, but another point that has something going against it is the fact that it doesn't sound natural. So what you want to do is just remove. Uh, I've been a nurse down here for 5 years. It'll get better. What you could do is that if you really need to mention that 5 years thing, you can say, "Huh, nah, I'm Leanna, by the way. I've been a nurse for 5 years, or I've been here for 5 years. It'll get better," and be sure to have a comma here. That is, if the 5 years thing is actually plot relevant. Jai off camera. Hey Oliver, there you are. Jai Tan, early 30s, extremely competent. John sworn them towards them. Now, I'm noticing this theme that you have with incredibly confident. If I go back over here, you have let me find it. I'm sorry. Let me just find that other thing. It was if I can just find handsome and confident. Okay, that does work. But at the same time, I need to know. Because these are instructions that you're giving to actors, and while your actors can find out, okay, my character is confident, my character is extremely competent, right? How can you show that? How can you show that? Because all we're just given is these little keywords, right? Confident, extremely competent, right? How can you show us this? That's the thing. Show, don't tell also applies to things that we don't have told. But it doesn't work if we don't have them shown either. Hey Oliver, there you are. I heard you called Code Blue on 14. Good job. Thanks, Dr. Tan. And crumple me your first pimp question completely. Pimp? Jai. Pimp. Means put into my place. Way to teach med students via public humiliation. For example, Oliver, do you know what the 5 H's and 5 T's of secondary PEA? Oliver, Jai, see? Look out for next time. Did you call Psych on Cam Bunting? Okay, great. You have him back. And what this means is I can cross him off the list. Lana, I did, but he's moved to Pez, so I don't know if they've been by. Jive, it's Parker on call, ain't it? Let's head over and see. Her phone rings. Or not. On phone. What's up, Javier? Javier? I'm just gonna pronounce this Javier. What's up, Javier? No, that can't be right. You just said a car rolled over. That's gotta be trauma. What fucking criteria is this? Fucking who? My god, my fucking god. Fine, call Hirata, and I'll meet you in the workroom off phone. Alright, Oliver, I need you to go over to Pez and say hi, Oliver. Can I go with you? Jai, they're not coming right now. I gotta find out about this Pachetta criteria and rage out by myself. And Jai dashes away. Oliver, what's Pez? Leanna, the psych emergency services. Down next to the trauma bay, Cam's in bed 4. Oliver just stands there. Leanna, you don't know where the trauma bay is. Oliver, I'll find it, thank you. He can't remember her name and said he runs off with a can of Coke. Leanna, some people's children. Oh, okay, I just realized what... Okay, I thought that she was calling out some people's children. No, she's just muttering to herself, some people's children. Okay, so if that's the case, something that you should really remind yourself... I saw you do it before, but something that you should really remind yourself is that if a character stops talking to one character and talks to another one, whether that be themselves or someone else, if they're yelling at a door that's knocking and changing between that door and the person in front of them, that door and the person in front of them. In prose, you don't have to really specify that all the time. In screenplays, you need to specify that all the time. So what you need to do is that you have to insert a parenthesis here that says, to herself, some people's children. That's all you have to do. Interior trauma bed 3, later. Mrs. Hernandez from earlier, sipping a cup of water. Okay, I should probably catch up on this. This is optional. You could absolutely do this, but at the same time, from what I've done, from what I've seen, from what I've read, it's probably best to just go with cut to. At the same time, that could also be when it refers to going between scenes. So take that with a bucket of salt, right? Mrs. Hernandez from earlier, sipping a cup of water. Mrs. Hernandez, are you going to fix my leg? Nikhil, no ma'am, I'm a med student. Dr. Kurt is the intern on ortho call tonight. Mrs. Hernandez, intern? Nikhil, intern is a first-year resident. Dr. Kurt is the intern on orthopedic surgery, but he's going to talk to this attending first. Mrs. Hernandez, what's attending? Nikhil, attending is like the boss of all residents. They make the final decisions. Mrs. Hernandez, resident is not doctor? Nikhil, no, they're doctors, but like junior doctors who are working for more experience. Mr. Hernandez, oh, and you are resident? Nikhil, medical student. I kind of just hang around all day to learn. Mr. Hernandez, I've realized I read that wrong either way. Mr. Hernandez, pointing to the pit. She's an attending? Nikhil, Dr. Gutal, she's the trauma fellow who are also doctors, and that's Dr. Wu. He's the trauma attending, but ortho already saw you, and they're gonna fix your leg. Medicine service will be admitting you and will be your primary. Okay. Now, quickly, are you gonna fix my leg? No, ma'am. Intern's a first-year resident. What's attending? Okay. Now, something I need to point out is that your script is going fine so far, but what we do have are these little depressions that we want to get rid of, and this is one of, not necessarily up here, but there's some from up here to down here. From up here to down here, you do have a bit of a problem with your dialogue, and that is, your dialogue is info dumping, and it's interview-like. So interview dumping, and info dumping and interview discussion, interview dialogue. Now, what you've done here that's actually kind of interesting is that you've been able to flush it out, right? So it's not exactly as much interview dialogue. It has an excuse for that because you have this person that's curious because, she's one getting care. But as for the info dumping, this is problematic. You don't want to have that one scene where if you miss that one scene, everything's gone. Everything's down the toilet just because of dialogue. You want it to be because of an action, of course. Not necessarily dialogue where they have this whole little information where it's talking about, oh, this person is that, this person is that, this person is that. Well, number one, I can imagine the audience needs to know this, but compare that to if the audience were to actually see that person doing their job, which one would be better? Them seeing the person doing their job, or them being told what their job is? One of those is telling and the other one is showing. And as well as the fact that you should probably remove the scene. It doesn't exactly have uh, a point, except for the fact that she asked for medicine, and that is, again, we need to question if this is plot relevant. Interior of the pit. Moments later, Blair is about to place the last pager on top of the pyramid when beep 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 beep, a pager vibrates and the entire structure clatters down. Al Tikuyi, Ethiopian resident who has been napping in a makeshift bed of several chairs in a row, jumps up and gets tangled in the armrests. Help! Claire, reading the page. A female in her 20s NBC rollover, but this is the ER pager. This doesn't sound right. Dr. Wu? She tosses the pager to Dr. Wu, Chinese 50s, who catches it single-handedly. Claire, that just told me car rolled over. That should be us. Trauma. Dr. Wu. Partly because it's not fast enough. Bacheta triage criteria on the wall there. He points to a wall that's covered by layers and layers of printouts, protocols, policies, announcements, etc. Claire rolls her chair there and reads. Dr. Wu continued, For triaging car crashes, research isn't new, but it doesn't apply to our demographic, so emergency services usually ignore it. Claire, usually, huh? So what should we do when ER calls us about it? They're not going to like it. Dr. Wu, nothing. They pan scan her, find something, we operate, we admit. Claire, if they don't find anything? Dr. Wu, not our problem. Claire, and we don't admit, so kind of like Mr. Hernandez over there. Cut to Mr. Hernandez looking more confused than before. Dr. Wu, exactly. Not my resident, not my service. We don't operate, not our problem. Nicole's back in the pit. Jesus, that lady won't stop asking questions. Was that trauma? Claire, no, it's not coming to us. Nikhil, to Al. Is it always like this? Al, like what? I don't see anything here that's actually bad. Nikhil, you know. Al clearly punches Nikhil as he stops his mouth with his hand. This is not exactly clear enough. Of course, I understand what you say. Like he's speaking. He's not in shock. He's not going like. He's just right, something like that, right? You need to describe that differently. Instead, what this is usually referred to is nearly punches Nikhil. Al nearly punches Nikhil as Nikhil, should I say, hands his mouth. No, not hands. It covers his mouth. As Al nearly punches Nikhil as Nikhil stops his talking with his mouth. Okay. Find a different way to describe it because this is not exactly that clear. Al nearly punches Nikhil as Nikhil stops his mouth with his hand. Okay, yeah. If you just remove this and replace Nikhil, that should work. Dr. Wu, take him outside so we don't have to wipe blood from before. Al, he didn't say it. Did you say it? Nikhil shakes his head. Al continued letting go. He's straight. Nikhil, I meant to say. Al grabs his throat again. Nikhil, quaintly pleasant. Quiet. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, I just realized. Now, this is the only joke that I can actually understand because of that one Stevie Joe, that guy, right? That's the only thing I can understand where the myth is if you not necessarily myth, but like the maybe myth, yeah. If I screw it, the myth, right? The myth is basically the moment the moment that an employee mentions that it's awfully quiet in here, right? or something like that. When it says the word quiet, that's when things immediately don't become quiet. Things start ramping up. So, what this can do to improve is the fact that it took me a while to actually realize that he wasn't uh, trying to call someone by a slur. He was just about to say the word quiet. So you might want to explain to the audience. This is a point where you quietly want to not necessarily explain to the audience. Don't you want to show don't tell, right? Where you want to point out to the audience, because again, they're not going to really understand this. You want to point out to the audience that the word is quiet, as well as what it does. So the best way I can think of doing this with show don't tell is the Q word. What Q word? The Q word. What Q word? And then like maybe a bit of dialogue, and then boom, quiet, and then boom, all this stuff just starts going around, and that applies itself as a turnaround for the scene. It would work together, but let's just keep on going. Al grabs his throat grin. Nikhil, quaintly pleasant. Al, whispering, you are this close to getting on my shit list. Nikhil, the shit list? Al, shut up. Nikhil, I'm gonna get a cup of coffee. And Nikhil flees. Al, to another resident. Do you think he was born stupid, or did he hit every dumb branch when he fell off his stupid tree? Exterior Oliver's apartment balcony, night flashback. Pascal, have you guys heard of the shit list? I heard from Allison. Oliver, is there anything you know that isn't from your girlfriend? Pascal, it's like a blacklist for black clouds. It was initially used for residents, but I've heard they started to keep one for med students. Chrissy, Black Cloud? Pascal, the unlucky people, residents with the worst calls and asshole patients. Oliver, did they use it for the match? Because if they did, that'd be fucked up. Pascal, not as far as I know. Nikhil, is it a Google Doc that someone keeps? Pascal shrugs. Chrissy, how do you end up on it? Pascal, Allison never told me. Oliver, then what the fuck do you actually know? Interior resident workroom evening. Present, Pascal and Priscilla haven't moved from their seats. They're more bored. Pascal, quietly, I don't know what the hell is going on, but we are paying $75,000 per year to be ignored. Priscilla, that's why everyone hates their third year, and I went to med school there. Priscilla Jones, black, in her 30s, she pops a new pod into the Keurig machine. Priscilla, don't take it personally. I'd rather die than go and do med school again. Quick mention. I'm gonna go back to reading. Quick mention. Don't call it a Keurig machine. You want to call it a coffee machine. Keurig is trademark. As a result, just say coffee machine, and everyone's gonna know. Okay, that's what you call. Everyone, how do I say it? We already know. If you just write, she pops a new pod into the coffee machine, everyone's gonna know that's kind of like, that's basically a Keurig machine. Don't call it a Keurig machine, just call it a coffee machine. Everyone's gonna get the same message. Priscilla, don't take it personally. I'd rather die than do med school again. Pascal, Priscilla Jones? I'm Pascal, Allison's boyfriend. We met at the Thanksgiving party last year. You and Peds, right? Priscilla, yeah, I remember you. You're a med student boyfriend. How's Allison? Okay. Pascal, she's on the floor now, hates it. Chrissy, I'm Chrissy. Priscilla, who are you looking for? I'm out of his nightmare. Chrissy, Michael Parker, Psych PGY2. Priscilla, scrolls through her phone. I do not. Why go down to PES yourself and see if he's there? Interior second floor hallway. Interior second floor hallway. Moments later, just outside the resident workroom on the door is a large sign: residents only. No administrative staff allowed. Priscilla, down that way. Take a left and take the D elevators basement. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Okay. Over here. Something that I should really mention is when, how do I say it? Something, I don't know if this is a clear goal that you've set in mind, but I should probably mention you do not need to have a point. I don't know if you have this in your outline or something. I don't know if they have this as one of the goals that you want to reach while you're writing your screenplay, but the problem is don't make it a point to establish to the audience who the characters are, because eventually they'll find out. You don't need to think of amazing ways like you don't need to think of simple ones where it's like, "Hi, I'm Priscilla." You don't need to think of imaginative ways like they take out a notebook from their locker that says the word Priscilla on it. You could just don't need to do it because the audience over time is going to use their intuition. When someone is calling someone Priscilla, let's say, and then it cuts to this woman walking down the hallway, we get that that's Priscilla. We don't need anyone to point out, "Hey, I'm Priscilla." Okay? As for the relations, again, plot relevancy. Now, I'm going to have to talk about this after I'm going to have to talk about the plot relevancy bit after I'm done reading, because when it comes to plot relevancy, you might think that it needs different rules when it's a pilot for a television show or something, right? No, I will get back to that and I will elaborate. I'm Christy. Who are you looking for? I might have his number. Chrissy, Michael Parker, Psych, PJY2, Priscilla. Scrolls through her phone. I do not. Why go down to Pez yourself and see if he's there? Kira, second floor hallway. Moments later, just outside the residence workroom, on the door is a large sign, residents only, no administrative staff allowed. Priscilla, down that way, take a left and take the D elevator's basement. Pascal, thank you, Dr. Jones. Priscilla, call me Priscilla. Interior Pez, bed for night. Psychiatric emergency services Pez is divided into 3 sections. The circle is the workstation in the middle. A locked room protected by shatterproof, bulletproof, one-way windows, and equally formidable double locked doors. The milieu is an open area for more with it patients who congregate as they please. The other side are 4 individual beds, isolation rooms, either for privacy or something else. Just need to find something. Here, I know something. I'll probably remember it. The milieu is an open area for more with it patients who congregate. Please. In bed for Michael. So what can I do for you, Mr. Bunting? Mr. Bunting, who are you? Michael, it's Dr. Parker. I saw you a couple of weeks ago at St. Luke's across the highway. Did you smoke meth again? Mr. Bunting, no man. FBI's after me. I can't do this anymore. I want to kill myself. I'm gonna run into the highway. Michael, what do you think of a turkey sandwich? That'll make things better? Mr. Bunting, yeah. Michael, like you don't want to die better? Mr. Bunting, yeah man, I don't want to die. I want to eat. Oliver, entering without a knock. Cameron Bunting? Cam sees the can of Coke in Oliver's hand. Oh. He crossed off the Coke. That's great. Mr. Bunting, I want Coke too. Michael, this isn't a Wendy's, Cam. Mr. Bunting, nah man, I want a Coke. Michael, mouthing. Now, this one, it's not necessarily clear that he's mouthing to Oliver. So again, just add to Oliver. Interior, Seattle's best coffee SBC at the same time. A 24/7 coffee shop on the second floor hallway. As Nikhil waits for his drink, he texts in a group chat named Soju Tank. How's everyone tonight? Things could be worse. Oh, Soju. You're tying it up. That's great. Barista. Vanilla latte for Nick. Why is it a vanilla latte? Just you can say coffee for Nick. That would work much better. Again, we have to talk about is this important? If not, leave it out. It's Chekhov's gun. Except Chekhov's gun, remember, it can be applied to any sort of aspect at any dimension whatsoever. As long as you're keeping with it, it's fine. Just make sure that you're sticking with it. Interior second floor hallway. Moments before, Cooper weeps through the. Wait, what do you mean by moments before? At the same time. Okay, so at the same time as that one. Moments before this one, Cooper weaves through the hallway traffic while talking on his phone and shuffling it through his census sheets. Cooper into his phone. That's right, 5 times. It's what I've written here. Quote unquote, we prefer that she shits all over the bed and to stop his lactulose. I'm not joking. I heard his wife can be and he's blinded by an explosion of coffee. You even crossed off the shit. That's great. Oh my god. Because, of course, I've been in situations where I was writing and I accidentally crossed off stuff off the checkoff list, not knowing that I had even set it up in the first place. So just to let you know, you crossed off the shit from Act 1. Great. Cooper, son of a bitch. Nikhil, I'm so sorry. Cooper, alternating between phone and Nikhil. No, not his wife. You, get some napkins. Clean the shit up. I just got coffee dumped all over me. I said not his wife. No, I'm not making any med changes. Cooper's pager goes beep, 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 beep. Cooper, piece of shit. I'm on pager. I can't come up right now. Sorry, bye. Jesus Christ. Despite Nikhil's best efforts, Cooper's census is falling apart in a soupy mess. Nikhil, paper's too thin. Cooper looks like a homeless person. Nikhil's scrub top is pristine. Cooper, take off your top. Nikhil, excuse me? Cooper, you have pickles shoved into your ears? Your scrubs, take it off. In the middle of the hallway, they strip and exchange scrubs. Cooper, my badge? Cooper's hospital badge is still dangling from his drenched scrub. Nikhil, I'm so sorry, Dr. Cameron. Cooper, what are you, 3rd year? 4th year? Nikhil, MS3. Cooper, reading Nikhil's badge. Nikhil Farias. My ass wasn't being ran by this hospital like a 14-year-old skinny blonde. Beep, 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 beep. Cooper, Christ. Interior Pez circle at the same time. Michael, what do you mean you're on ER? Why are you here then? Oliver, Dr. Tan told me. Michael, god damn it. Tan again? Oliver, she wanted to check on Michael. Oh, she's gonna grace us with her presence after treating us like a garbage dump? Oliver, Michael, that's a theoretical question. We are ER's garbage dump, remembering. Where's my med students? Oliver, they said they'd smile to you. They'd emailed you, sorry. Michael, did you not hear the part about rhetorical questions? Okay. End of Act 2. Before I go into Act 3, let me just note that at the same time, you don't need this. I am sure... is there any point here where we need to know that this is at the exact same time? And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because you even pointed it out something before where he gets, dumped by the coffee, where it's at the same... just moments before Cooper got out of the elevator and started weaving through, right? And then he gets hit by the coffee, right? So, in the only time that you're going to need to mention moments before at the same time is if, this is some sort of temporal themed show that requires these things. Even though when you use that in your slug line this time, it was not needed. You don't have to think about the specifics. You can have one shot where someone's getting coffee, another shot when someone's getting out of an elevator, and then boom, they're dumped by the coffee. You don't need to mention moments before or at the same time. Again, think about this way. What is the audience going to see when you put that in there? All right? And how do you even think that the director is going to direct the actors when it comes to that part of the slug line? They're not going to go... Why would they want to go, okay, everyone... Now that we've done that shot, I want you to all go into your original positions and do exactly what you've done so that we can do this other shot. Well, yeah, that's probably what they're going to do over repeating shots. They're probably not going to pay attention when it comes to another shot. Let me find my spot. End of Act 2. Act 3, Interior Emergency Room, night. Chrissy, hi. Lana, oh, hey, Chrissy. Can you show us the way to the Pez? Lana, you still looking for, Chrissy? Dr. Parker, yeah. Lana, what about I page him for you? Come here. Let me show you something. She walks through the steps on her computer. Lana continued, where's this? There's a website called amion.com. Like, am I on a call? Here the code is UH-TREMA for University Hospital Trema, and you scroll down to find psych. Few clicks later, the pager number for Michael Parker appears. Christy, Michael Parker. Oh, Dr. Parker. Interior bedroom flashback evening. Caption, last week. Christy composes an email on screen from Christina Nunez9 at utrema.edu. As she types the to section, an autofill bubble pops up. Michael Packer at utrema.edu. Close up on Packer. Interior emergency room present. Lana, there is a surgery resident, Dr. Michael Packer, who graduated last year. Always reminds me of him. Anyway, did you dial the number and landline phone, friendly male voice? You have reached the display pager. At the beep tones, please enter the numbers you would like for me to call. Okay. Michael Parker, oh, Dr. Now, this is a scene I have a problem with. Michael Parker, oh, Dr. Parker. It was an email to section Packer. Now, something I need to point out here is the fact that you have a lot of openings. This is, by the way, this is Act 3, so I'm also going to have to go over act structure, just in case if this is not a climax, right? As well, if she recognizes that to be, oh, Dr. Parker, right? Well, we still need to see where this goes. We still need to see where this ends up. But for right now, it really seems irrelevant to the plot, especially when we're on page 24 of 30. Oh no, that's only 2/3 of the way. Okay, but the point is also the fact that we don't necessarily need to know how she knows his name. There could be exceptions. You could have thought of this already, but the point is we don't need to know necessarily, alright? Interior emergency room present. And there was surgery with Dr. Packer, who graduated last year. Always reminds me of him. Anyways, you dial the number and you have reached the display pager. At the beep tones, please enter the numbers you would like for me to call. Interior Pez Circle night. Michael, to Eddie, his psych nurse. Let's just give him a sandwich and Coke. Eddie, to the other patients? Michael, we'll keep him in there until he finishes eating. Michael's pager rings. He looks, bunch of random characters. The fuck? Interior emergency room continuous, but sometimes the pages get lost in the system. If you don't get a call back in 10 to 15 minutes, I'd page again. Christy, could you just show us where to go? Head circle, continuous. Next time he shows up, I'll give a loading dose as I LAI while he's in the ER. They have to monitor him in there for 3 hours. He gets to eat a sandwich, fuck around, then walk at AMA. Oliver, Dr. Parker, Michael, Zyprexa's olanzapine. You have to monitor for post-injection delirium / sedation syndrome for 3 hours post-LAI. Yes, it's an absolutely ass-backward way of practicing psychiatry, but honest to God, I'm fucking fed up with this shit. Oliver, Dr. Parker, it's just meth. Fucking meth. He's not suicidal. They know that. I know he's not suicidal. They know that. I know that they know he's not really suicidal. So the fuck am I being consulted on a suicidal ideation? Oliver, Dr. Parker, Michael, what? Oliver, can I go back into the ER? Michael, no, you're my bitch now. Oliver, oh, Michael, what's your name? Student Dr. Park. Let me tell you something. I'm a little bitch when it comes to sleep. People are pussies with spicy food. Some have problems with pollen. I'm a suicidal whiny bitch when I can't get 7 hours of sleep. And I prefer that people keep out of my way so I don't become homicidal. That coke thing, opposite of not getting in the way. Sorry. There's a pimp situation. What do you think it means when I said med students should be like a rat, Oliver? Run away when you get too close. Michael, why turn on the lights? Out. Oliver scurries out. Michael sits himself in front of the computer to start working. Eddie, pointing. Are you sure you want to give him anything? Cam Bunny is now completely naked and dancing in his room. Michael, someone get me a gun. Interior outside Pez. Later, Oliver steps outside double doors labeled Pez. He sighs. Chrissy, coming down the hallway. Did you just come out of the Pez? Pascal, is Dr. Parker in there? Oliver, yeah, but don't go in right now. I just got chewed out by him. Pascal, fuck him. He stuck us in the resident workroom and forgot about us. Chrissy, I don't want to fuck with him, but Nikhil. Nikhil walks towards them from an opposite hallway. Pascal, look at Mr. Wood could be worse. Oliver, what's up with your scrubs? Nikhil is wearing a scrub top thrice larger than his size. Nikhil, I spilled my coffee and I had to change. Chrissy, on yourself though. Could have split on a resident, right? Nikhil, I split with a resident. Pascal, shit. The four friends take in their situation. Oliver, I wonder if the shitlist is real. Pascal opens his phone. Just don't, Pascal. Exterior, Oliver's apartment, balcony, flashback, a few more shots in. Evan, off camera, so y'all feel ready? Chrissy, I have to be. Nicole, what about you? Your rotation? Evan Salinas, average introvert. Evan, regular good old internal medicine in the morning. Nicole, lucky you. Oliver, let's do the shots, guys. In 2 days, we're going to be 30 years. We get to talk to real patients, wear our white coats. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? I'm excited. Pascal, of course you are. Mr. Look at my biceps. They start quibbling. Chrissy, pouring shots. I can't believe we're still friends. Evan, me neither. The OJ soju tank anatomy feels like years ago. Nikhil, I don't know why people don't drink more soju. It's much better than vodka. Oliver, because we're people of culture, of my culture. Evan raises his glass. Here's the third year of medical school. Pascal, the $300,000 of school loans. Oliver, here's for our shelf exams, step 2, CK and CS. Nikhil, to rise in the match. Christy, to residency, in whichever specialty we choose. Evan, guys, we're overthinking this. Something simple. How about to the hospital shit list? May we never end up on it. Oliver, amen. The friends stand shoulder to shoulder. At least tonight they have each other. The friends, gunby. Oh, gunby. End of Act 3. Again, formatting. Just note that it is a real problem. I'm not just talking about this, but at the same time, this is showing me that this is not a rewrite. This is just a vomit draft rewrite. Different thing. Just really need to point that out. Act 4. Interior resident workroom. Present next morning. Tired faces like hungover faces. Resident and med students, including Evan, sit in huddles as the night float teams update the day team. Chandra, he got agitated and the prison guards pulled out their guns and almost shot one of our nurses. Anyway, long story short, all his kids flew in from out of town. No one's managed to bring in any of their totally legit lawyery paperwork, so may as well just be hookers and male prostitutes hired by his ex-wife, claiming that they have a diaper that the Pope shat in. McCoop resident. Not dead, not dead, dead, not dead, about to get dead, increased your fent drip. Finally, Cooper, and that's it. Timothy, what a fucking night. Timothy Chang, internal medicine resident. Cooper, he considers a pager. I want to shove this up that guy's ass to stop him from shitting all over my night. Beep, 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 beep. Everyone checks their pagers in utter rage and panic. Cooper, fuck. Timothy, I'll answer it. Cooper picks up his belongings as Tim picks up the phone and dials. Timothy, on phone. What? Marina Hernandez? What? Cooper, Hernandez? Give it to me. On phone. This is Dr. Cameron, night float. Did you just say Mr. Hernandez? She's in trauma? Who? Orders under my name? Admitted under my name? His eyes glaze over in a 1,000-mile stare as he listens. Christ! He slams on the handset. Crack. Cuts to black.